What's up, Capoeira Nation? Welcome back to the Capoeira Experience Podcast. Thank you so much for coming back. Thank you so much for keep training, being part of the Capoeira community. Without us, there wouldn't be Capoeira community, so we all gotta stick together and help each other and support all the schools around you. First of all, support your school, and then support all the schools around you, and you be part of the Capoeira community. Doesn't matter where you're from or what kind of Capoeira school you are from. So today is funny. This connection comes from one of my students. She started in that group, and she always was like, you should meet Fogo, man. You're gonna like Fogo. And then last week we finally got in touch and finally got to meet in person. So I would love to introduce you to Professor Fogo. How you doing, man?
Hi, good to see you. Thank you so much for having me on here, man.
Yeah, of course,
It's
of
really
course.
great.
Yeah, of course. He's part of the community. Yeah, I want to learn and people to hear any experience that they can take little information from there to learn and apply to the HADA or to even their life if they can.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
nice. How people can find you on social media so they can see your capoeira and your work and everything.
If you're looking for my capoeira, I'm mostly on Instagram these days at Fogo Capovam. That's Capovam.
Nice,
And then our group's Instagram, which is Capoeira VAM. So that's Capoeira Voltamundo at Capoeira VAM.
nice.
We post up there probably every day.
Nice,
So
nice. Especially, I heard someone on social media saying like, if you don't post enough on social media, it's like throwing a little rock to the ocean. It's like it's not
yeah,
gonna be
it
any
really
difference.
is.
Yeah,
Then you may as well just be yelling into a canyon because it doesn't show anything to anybody anyway. You
yeah,
have to do
yeah,
it regularly, or else they don't hear anything at all. So
yeah. Exactly, exactly. I have to go back to my social media because I haven't like post really, especially my classes, but I need to get back to that. So how was your class during the pandemic and everything else?
during the pandemic, was actually shockingly much better than I would have anticipated.
That's funny. Yeah.
Because one of the things that you expect, right? You get people in a closed room, and it's like all of a sudden everybody's really scared, and we had some of that. We had a lot of that. Florida is a little lax about those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And so we got together probably a little earlier than most of the rest of the country did. Um, but while we were completely separate, we were teaching out of the academy through Zoom.
Nice.
And I didn't realize what a beautiful opportunity it was to connect to teachers that I wouldn't normally be able to connect to.
That's true,
You
man.
know,
Yeah.
I hadn't trained with my first teacher from Springfield in like 3, 4 years, and I was suddenly taking
Wow.
classes with him once a
Yeah,
week. And then I
man.
took classes from Mestre Fuinha and from Mestre Amen, from Mestre
Nice.
Betinho, from Miami, all of these
Yeah.
teachers that it's like I didn't have that option for a long time, and all of a sudden it was right there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Same we like I got one class or like more like discussion and information from Maestro Yo Grande in New York. And then
Yeah.
yeah, and I was
Dang.
like, yeah, and he was like, man, this I have to do it. I have to take the chance because I don't know when I'm gonna get to meet him in person.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the benefits. Like everything has its good and its bad sides, right? Like
Hundred
as
percent,
far
yeah.
as capoeira goes, yeah. As far as capoeira goes, the pandemic closed down most classes, but it gave a lot of us a chance to connect with people that we wouldn't normally get to connect with.
That's true.
And that's
Yeah,
and it was like immediate. That was the thing that
yeah,
was really cool about it, is that everything shut down like right about, St. Patrick's Day or so.
yeah.
And then by April 2nd, we had invented this new way of
I
training and
yeah,
teaching together. The
yeah.
community is so strong and capable of like reforming and changing things on the drop of a hat. And I was just really amazed by that.
Totally,
It was
totally.
incredible for real.
Yeah, yeah. It's fun. It's funny how like we adapted so quick that
Yeah.
but now is what do you think about this? You think is there Zoom board now that like people are getting now like in person? Because I don't see any like Zoom stuff as I used to see it.
Yeah, that's true. People are kind of shying away from Zoom just because it is harder to, I'm sure you experienced this as well. It's harder to teach through Zoom.
Oh man, yes.
Um, yeah, and it's also harder to train through Zoom
Yeah, yeah, it
because,
is.
at any time you can just like walk away from the camera
Yeah.
and then go sit down on the couch and or be like, oh, my video and turn my video off, and I,
Yeah,
I did that once or twice admittedly myself. So
yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah, me too.
so you just turn on the video and you're just like, oh God.
Yeah,
But I think people are shying back in away from it because it's a not as necessary
yeah, that's
and
true.
it's kind
Yeah,
of a hassle to set up technically, and B because it's kind of something that reminds us of that very hard time that we all went through.
yeah,
We collectively experienced this really really difficult time, and having something that throws back to that, even in that way, can kind of be like, bring back some of that agita, a little
yeah,
bit of that stress.
yeah. Everybody missed the face to face interaction, and everybody was aching so hard to be in the hada and to play with people, and it's just
Yes.
hard.
Oh my God. Playing capoeira. Yeah, I went, I think like 3 or 4 months without playing capoeira, and that's the
Yeah.
longest I've gone in my entire career. You know?
That's so crazy, man. And that and on the other hand too, that makes you like appreciate more the people that you have around you. You know, that come to class, even as a teacher or student, because it's gonna be like if my students they don't
Yeah.
show up on Zoom, man, that's a boring ass class. Just one person
Yeah.
or just you is
Yeah.
just like, oh man, what I'm doing here, you know?
Yeah. It's like those, if you go on any of those like a random video on YouTube, right? And it's like this like 15-year-old on a vlog talking about his day at school, just kind of broadcasting into nothing,
Yeah, yeah,
training by yourself on Zoom is like there's something existentially terrifying about it,
yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of scary.
Yeah, yeah. But it's cool to see those how we actually take advantage of that technology. And I really hope that doesn't go away and we still get to I don't know, get trainings with people in Brazil. It's just no
Hmm.
matter of a click, you can go visit people in Brazil and talk to them and connect with them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and coming back now to you specifically, what is your capoeira story? Like how you started and when you started and everything.
My capoeira story is it's nothing really wild. I started in 2008 in my hometown of Springfield, Illinois.
Nice.
Um, yeah, yeah. It is an okay town. It is a
Okay,
town.
okay.
You live there, you grow up there.
Yeah,
I used to be a real adrenaline junkie. I would do lots of crazy stuff like skydiving and building climbing and just lots of crazy stuff. Anything that like made my heart race.
yeah.
And I had this little crew that we would do that stuff with, and we eventually found this tumbling gym, and this tumbling gym was like it was a tumbling gym same way that like your garage is a dance studio.
Yeah, yeah,
It was dirty and dingy and ratty, and there were holes in the walls, and it was wildly unsafe.
yeah,
Um, but we loved it. We would go all the time, and they would just leave us there like a bunch of teenagers, no
the,
adults, just
yeah,
flipping around.
yeah,
And we didn't know what we were doing, so we just started learning to flip by just throwing ourselves through the air, and eventually starting consulting YouTube for
yeah,
tutorials and stuff. And one day, while doing that, consulting YouTube for tutorials, we started seeing the names in Portuguese. It was specifically a double leg, which in capoeira we call armada dupla or envergado.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, and I was like, "What is this? What is with all these titles?" And so I looked it up, and then we
yeah,
found out that it was from capoeira, and I was like, "Oh, let's go do that like
yeah,
tomorrow." And then we looked
th-
up capoeira classes, and we went. And my first teacher from way back then Monitor Luz, now Contramesh Espigal, he trains really hard. He's always trained very, very hard.
Nice.
It was the single most exhausting and difficult day physically of my life to date, to
Yeah.
this day.
Oh,
You know,
really? Yeah.
dozens upon dozens of push-ups and squats and dips and ab crunches and training and cocarinhas and meloshi franchise and all this kind of stuff. And it was me and my 5 friends, and we struggled through it. But because we were such adrenaline junkies, we were
Yeah.
so addicted to the challenge.
That's
We
cool.
were there, the next week and the week after that and the week after that.
That's so
And
cool.
I was the worst one. I was by far I'm
Yeah.
not even saying that like, oh, out of humility. My teacher, he told me that I was the worst one. He
Oh,
would tell
man.
you the same. Yeah, he would tell you the same thing.
Yeah, little
I
kid, like, you suck.
no, no.
Oh.
That was so extreme. He was just like, I thought you would drop out because you struggled the most.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay. Well, that's a
but
nice way at least.
yeah, yeah. But it turned out that that struggle that I went through,
Yeah,
particularly the person who was the worst at it, ended up
yeah.
being the only person to stick.
That's
Because
so funny. Yeah, I was about to ask
as
you that
time went
too.
on, yeah, as time went on, my friends all left. One of them has a huge Volta Mundo tattoo on his back. It's like his back is,
Oh,
and
man.
it's like maybe this big around.
Yeah.
Um, but I was like, oh man. But yeah, he has that tattoo on his back. I think he's gotten it covered up since then. I'm not sure.
So
But
he got the tattoo and he left the group.
yeah, he
Oh,
left
man.
Capoeira.
Oh,
Um,
or capoeira in general. Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh, man.
but that leads me to something really important that I wanted to say, because like we were talking before the podcast, I said it's really important to me that like I offer insights that's specific, that I feel
Yeah.
is specific to me,
Totally.
because I don't want to come on here and just be like, go on everybody, train capoeira, you could do, it's
Yeah.
like, that's great, that's
Yeah.
perfect, but it's
Yeah.
it's not something specific to me. But the main thing that I wanted to offer is that the people who struggle the most to get knowledge are the ones who appreciate it the most.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Because it was so much harder for me than it was for my friends. I feel like that's the reason that I'm the only one that's still here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I had to invest so much more into it and work harder than they did at every aspect of it, of playing the beat and bow, of playing the atabaki, of the movements, of the game itself. I ended up, the one who stuck with it for now going on 14 years.
Damn, that's nice, man.
And so yeah, after
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
they kind of slowly filtered out, and it was me and my teacher and a number of other students. And one of those students moved down to St. Louis, and well, Edwardsville specifically, but it's St. Louis area, so I'm just
Okay.
St. Louis. He moved down there to go to college and started a capoeira club. A
Oh,
couple of
cool.
years go by. Yeah, a couple of years go by, and the man graduates, and all of a sudden they're left without a teacher. Um, and I was like, well, I hate this town.
Yeah.
Do you want me to come live with, move there and teach you guys and go to that school? And they're like, yeah, sure. So I did that.
That's awesome.
I
That's pretty
moved,
cool.
I dropped everything and I went to St. Louis.
Just for
Um,
teach capoeira? Just because
yeah,
capoeira?
yeah.
That's so
You
cool,
will see
man.
this is a theme in my life.
Yeah.
um, we uh, we went to I went to St. Louis and I started teaching there with my co-teacher, now instructor Keju. He actually got his instructor cord last week. Shouts out
Nice.
to Keju.
Nice.
Congratulations again, buddy. But he
Nice. Congrats.
we taught together for, I want to say it was 4 or 5 years, something like that.
Okay.
I definitely started teaching capoeira before I was supposed to. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was just because it was needed. It was
Yeah.
what was there.
What do
If
you?
there
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
if there had been an instructor or a higher ranked person than me, I would have asked them to teach, but there wasn't. Capoeira, as
Yeah.
you know, capoeira in the Midwest is a little sparse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even more so back then. Like now you're there, you got there. I listened to your podcast, what,
Yeah.
2018, right? Yeah,
2013. Then
2013.
then I moved to Oregon, and then I moved back in 15, 16, 17, something
15.
like that.
Okay. And Santo is over there in Cleveland, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And Metro Lobino and Ann Arbor and
yeah. And we
Baz
got Bass,
and
yeah.
yeah, and you got a couple of groups in St. Louis now, but
Yeah, in Chicago too.
back then it was, yeah, in Chicago back then, but it was mostly like us, Chicago, and then there was Dennis and Champaign
That's
and
crazy,
then
man.
Luanda and St. Louis, and that was it.
That's
There wasn't
crazy.
really.
Yeah,
So so anyway, that's the reason that I ended up teaching for those people. I was there and
nice.
we did that, and we would drive down to Florida every opportunity that we got,
Yeah,
to go down and train with our Mestre Hallney.
nice.
He founded Capoeira Voltamundo, and he's my main teacher now. We do that minimum twice a year, sometimes 3 times, to go down and train with him.
Nice.
And we're broke college students, so instead of buying this, and what we didn't know what budget airlines were, or maybe they didn't exist then. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
So we would just drive down 17, 18 hours and then be there for like 2 days, completely exhausted from the trip, training the whole time, and then just drive back
Oh man, just destroyed.
just immediately. Yeah, just wrecked. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like I would never do that again. Thinking now,
Same.
I would never do that again.
Yeah.
But so I did that for a few years, and then I graduated the college in 2016.
Nice.
And my master called me, and he said, "Hey, I know you just graduated college. Um, are you looking for something to do? Do you have anywhere to go? Do you have a job lined up or anything?" I was like, "I mean, not really." And he said, "Do you want to come work for me?"
Oh,
Because
cool.
my mestre, him and his wife, who was Mestra Sherry,
Okay.
um, they have. I'm not boasting or anything. What I would say, they have probably the biggest Capoeira kids program in the United States.
Damn,
Um,
that's
with
awesome.
because they have 3 different academies here in Sarasota, uh, which each have their own fully functional preschool and fully functional after school program.
Wow.
So
That's
they
awesome. That's
have,
so cool.
yeah, so they have
How many?
35 to 50 kids
Oh, I was about to
per
ask.
school. So it's
Wow.
like 150 to 200 kids, something like that.
Oh man,
Um,
that's a lot of kids.
that's what I'm
That's
saying.
really cool.
So yeah, so it is
Yeah.
really incredible. They struggled a lot in the late 2000s.
Yeah.
And Mestra Sherry started Capo Kids to give her kid a place to go, and then it just grew and grew, because those two are, you should try to get them on this podcast, because
Yeah.
they are really like iconic figures.
Oh, nice.
They're
Let's
people that you
exchange
would never, yeah,
information.
yeah, I
And
will,
I'll
I'll
reach
send
out.
it
I'll
your
reach
way.
out. Nice.
Um, but then, so yeah, I worked with them. I taught. I did everything. I worked as a maintenance man for them. I worked as an after-school teacher for them, as a summer camp counselor, as a school bus driver,
Man,
as
that's
a
awesome.
preschool teacher,
Yeah.
and
We're
then
doing
as a
everything.
preschool director. Yeah, well, I just wanted, Capoeira to be my career,
Yeah.
whatever form it took. Uh, I did that for 5 years, training Capoeira all the while, like every single day, 5 to 7 days a week. But what happened was, uh, because Mestre and Sherry and Mestra, sorry, were so had such a thriving and successful kids program.
Yeah.
Sometimes the adult program that I was a part of would kind of fall by the wayside.
Huh.
It would be what would be kind of pushed off to the side,
Yeah.
and so I started trying to slowly kind of do things that would bolster it. Not trying to be like a leader in any way, but just trying to do things that would help it grow and help us be more of a thriving community.
Yeah.
And so I kept doing that. And then in 2020, when the pandemic shut down, Mestra posted a video of their heyday, their like prime years for the
Yeah.
adult program, which was like 2006, 2005, something like that. And
Was it like
they
a
were
lot of adults?
oh my God, it was like 150, like 200 adults.
What? Oh
They're just
man.
having just having like a Wednesday Hada. There's like 40, 50 people there.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that day it was like something just like switched in my head. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of not having, we can do it. This
Yeah.
the capoeira community can thrive. It
Yeah.
isn't, but it doesn't mean it can't be.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
evidence it can be.
Yeah.
It's done it.
Totally.
It's worked before. Let's do it again. And so I said, if we're gonna have a thriving community. I will be a part of one, even
Yeah.
if I have to build one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I started moving into a managerial program station for the adult program. That took
That's
up more
so
and more
cool,
of my
man.
focus, and I ended up leaving the kids program altogether so I could focus more on running the adults program. And
Yeah.
now it's going well. We have 45-ish students,
That's so cool,
and
man. Damn.
it's going really well. I'm
Yeah.
really excited about it. But the other main thing that I experienced when I moved here to Florida was that I struggled a lot at the beginning, and capoeira was kind of my solace. It was what helped me stay sane. Because I moved here with nothing. Like I packed everything in my car, and I just was like, it was a leap of faith. I didn't find a place to live. I didn't,
Oh, you
find a
just went.
backup. I just packed all my stuff in a car and just drove here. And then I showed up with my
Yeah.
mattress on top of my car. It was like, okay, Mastery, what
I'm here.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I lived in my car for a while. I lived in people's guest rooms. I remember I lived in this lady's grandma, Carol. Her grandmother had passed, and so she let me live in her grandmother's house until it like foreclosed. And it didn't have air conditioning, and it was July in
Oh
Florida.
man.
So I remember
Humid and
freezing.
hot.
Yeah, I remember
Ah.
freezing a pot of water and then putting it in front of a fan, just being like, "There's got to be something I could do."
Oh man.
Just like,
Yeah.
just struggling.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to that thing that I said earlier, which is that those who struggle for those things really
Yeah.
learn to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you couldn't make me leave Sarasota if you tried. I love it here.
Nice.
And, that the capoeira community in Florida is really thriving
Yeah. Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah. It's a
And
lot of capoeiristas there.
yeah, and so I moving here was the best decision I ever made in my life. I
Nice.
didn't even realize it either. I didn't
Yeah.
know that it was so big here. I just knew Mestre was here, you know.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years down the line after moving here in like 2018, I started going out to other events, like by myself. My
Nice.
master, he's kind of like slowly retiring,
Okay.
and so he doesn't travel as much as he used to. Like we never had a trip to Brazil together or anything.
Huh.
I just went by myself, and
Yeah.
I feel like I regret going at the time that I did, because I didn't really speak any Portuguese and I didn't get anything out of it, and I went by myself, and it took me 37 hours just to get there. So I like it
Oh
was,
man,
what
that's
I
a
mean? It
long
was
trip. Yeah.
I went there and I couldn't talk to anybody, and I just trained some capoeira in a gym and then like went home. Not that it
Yeah.
wasn't a great experience, but I
It
feel like I
could it
didn't.
could be better. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, really great.
There's
Um,
before you keep going. There's two things
yeah.
I wanna check in here. So at the
Oh yeah.
beginning, when you mentioned that you started teaching before your time, that you shouldn't be teaching at the time you started teaching. Why is that? What do you think that should be good time for you to start teaching?
I think you should be able to start teaching when you can be an autonomous capoeirista. But when you can start sort of choosing your own style and your own making your own decisions and being able to kind of hang with people.
Yeah.
The reason being that otherwise you're just parroting other people's interpretations without necessarily understanding them,
Yeah.
and also
Yeah.
without
I like
necessarily
that.
being able to add your own twist into it. It's
Yeah.
like if you at a certain, when you train at a certain level, if you have somebody who's like pretty low teaching you, it was like I was like my third or fourth chord,
Oh,
uh, you know,
yeah.
um, if you have somebody who's pretty low level teaching you, then it's more or less just training a watered down version of their teacher's
I
class.
see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And not knocking it. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Totally.
I know, I understand that, just as well as anybody, but
Yeah.
um, I was definitely before I should have been teaching. Like I wasn't ready, you know, but it
Yeah.
really ignited my passion for it. Teaching capoeira is like my favorite thing to do
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
anything else.
That's
Um,
awesome, man. And it's really cool that you
yeah,
took that decision and be like, hey, I'm just gonna go do this and just give it a shot and see how it goes.
yeah,
Two
yeah.
times, well, technically. That's
It was
awesome.
a really good idea. I took a risk and it turned out to be the best choice I ever made for sure.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
What was the other thing you wanted to say?
That when during the struggle is because you say that you when you moved to Florida, it was a struggle because you live in your car, and you put the frozen water in front of the fan. But there's only two ways that this can go. And one way is being, no, I'm just gonna give up. What the hell I'm doing here? This is not gonna work out. I'm just struggling here. It's just a hard path. Or it's gonna go the way you went. It's be like, I'm gonna stick to this. I'm gonna make it happen, and because I know I know where I'm going, and it's really cool to see that, and I really admire those kind of stuff.
I appreciate that. That's pretty cool, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I didn't have anything that there wouldn't be any point to me going back,
Yeah.
you know, because there wasn't really anything there. I left like the classes that I was teaching was like four people there,
Okay.
and they were about as good as I am. So I was just like, we were kind of like spinning our wheels in the sand, so to speak,
Yeah.
not really moving, but feeling like we were moving. And if I went back, and I didn't really have any family there, so it's like if I went back, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It
Yeah.
was a burn your boats kind of situation. It was just
Totally.
like I had to.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I started traveling in 2018, and this is the other main thing that I really wanted to leave here, in this space, is the importance of traveling to other people's academies.
100%. Yes. Tell me about it,
Oh
because I
my
love
God.
that.
Okay. So I was thinking about it because I was trying to think about when would be the best time for you to start, right? Like when should you travel to other people's schools? What should you start as, like, as somebody who's a novice, or somebody who's a beginner, somebody who's
Yeah.
intermediate, advanced, a teacher? Like when do you start doing it? And then the more I thought about it, first I was like, "Oh, I don't know about beginners, like novices, because it's like maybe they go there and somebody does something weird or something."
Yeah.
Um, but the more I thought about it, the more that I realized that each area has its own benefits. You
100%.
know,
Yes.
um, if you're a novice, it draws you into capoeira. You don't really
Yes.
know what you're doing. You're playing in the dark. Like who is that? Mestre Corgion said that.
I don't know. Sounds
You're
familiar.
playing. Yeah, you're playing in the dark. You don't know what you're doing. You're just kind of doing things, and but the energy and the joy of events and other people's academies and the community is enough to kind of sink that
Yeah.
the hook in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I describe
I like
capoeira
that.
kind of like a fish hook, where it's like first it's like here, and then I was just like, like, ah, like as it goes on, more
Yeah.
and more and more, right, until
Yeah.
it's everything you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but it's but yeah, so that kind of seals the deal for him. Capoeira really, that going to other people's events. We had an event last week, and a brand new student named I won't say his name. It doesn't add any benefit to that.
Yeah.
He said that he sprained his ankle, unfortunately.
Oh
Um,
no. Oh
yeah,
man.
we were training, and we're working on a haston
Yeah.
and sprawling out of a haston. And
Yeah.
somebody went in, and as he sprawled back in while training, somebody else
Yeah.
stepped on the back of his foot, and it like rolled it.
Ah,
It just wasn't
that
good.
hurts.
It was bad news.
Man.
Yeah, yeah, right. Like you get the sympathy pain.
Yeah.
But even still,
Yeah.
we were there. We came back on to class on Monday, and he came in. He was like, "That event was intoxicating." His ankle's all swollen and purple, and he's
Yeah.
there. He's like, I just have to be part of this. I
Yeah.
have to be here
So cool,
for
man.
this.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
so
cool
there's
to see the drive, to see the being like, is
that.
I
Yeah,
enjoy the energy. I enjoy being part of this, and even with almost broken ankle, I'm still gonna show up.
yeah, it's
So
really
cool,
really
man.
amazing. And then as you move on, right, like you move on to the beginners, um, as far as like traveling goes, the beginners really get shown the world of capoeira.
Yeah.
For me, in particular, you remember I told you I started in Springfield, and it was just like 16, 17 of us just in a tiny karate studio,
Yeah.
you know, doing this crazy Brazilian dance fighting.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing, and I had no
Yeah.
idea, and going to other people's events really opens your eyes to the wider community, that it's like,
100%.
oh,
Yes.
this is a real thing. It's not
Yeah.
just like this thing that I do in my room with my friends,
Watching
you
YouTube.
know? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a real thing. It's everywhere. I can
Totally,
connect
man.
with
That's so
people.
cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for getting this far. Remember, please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up on Facebook or YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is going to help us and help me to get bigger numbers and bigger subscribers so we can give more information. Okay, please, if you're listening, I know you're listening, I know you're watching, please give me a subscribe, give me a like. Okay, I know you're watching right here or listening. All right, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening every single episode, especially the episode we just did. All right, thank you so much. Peace.